Hello, dear hearts, and welcome to another Lola Gets episode. And I'm trying out, as I mentioned in the other video, I'm trying out a new segment this month. We're going to have a Trust Talk Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, and when I post this, it'll be Tuesday. So, what I wanted to do is have these talks where we get a little vulnerable, real about just faith, hope, and then just also just trusting in God, especially when life just really doesn't go as planned or you have those kind of unexpected things happen that catch you off guard. So this particular episode is going to be especially close to my heart. I lost my grandmother last month on April 7th, and just being completely honest, it's not been easy. So my grandmother was she was the matriarch of our family, and she was one of 10 siblings, and she was the second to last of her siblings to pass away. So there's really just one out of the 10 of our, the matriarchs in our family, and she was definitely one in ours specifically. So she was 88 years old. She loved the Lord. She lived a full life. It's just definitely heavy because she was like a second mother to me. So I've been dealing with that, and really even not even had time to really grieve or process everything about losing somebody so close to me, so close. Like when I had my first child, she was there, with all my children. Like my kids were her first set of great grandchildren. So it's not been easy. I will say that. It's definitely not been easy. We definitely I spiritually connected with that woman, and it's not been easy. But things like this, when I think about her and I talk about what she meant to me, it does help. It helps me release some of that grief and that heaviness that I feel. So, and I'm in all of this too, it's been kind of refocusing my thoughts on the fact that God is still with me. And even through something so difficult as losing, somebody that I viewed as a second mother, right? So, a confidant, somebody I talked to about problems and had that wisdom and discernment. She was just a very special and precious person. There was nobody like her, that unique person that just brings so much out. She sows so much into you. She brings so much out of you. And those are the things that I've just been reflecting on and thinking about when I've been thinking about her. So, when we talk about hope, people sometimes, and hoping in God, and what that means is sometimes I think folks think that means you kind of ignore like your pain, but you definitely cannot deny your hurt. You cannot deny pain, especially when you're suffering a loss, right? So it's really where you draw in closer and have more faith and more trust in God to help get you through those difficult seasons in life, right? So one of the scriptures that is really also dear to my heart that I've actually, really wanted my kids to understand, like when you go through things that hurt you, it's in Psalm 30:5, where weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. And that's absolutely accurate, right? And that's something that is dear and precious to me to think about, because that's usually when I let all my anxiety out, my grief out, is when I'm laying in my quiet moments and I'm just sitting there with myself. I give in to that feeling that just, I miss her. I miss, when any difficult time, right? It's allowing yourself to feel that pain and know that it's natural for humans to get upset, for humans to be sad, for humans to suffer grief, loss, all of that kind of stuff. But embracing it and knowing that you're human, because I feel like if you try to hold it in and hide it or keep it in, it's not good for your health. It really isn't. It doesn't do anything good for you, holding things like that in. You have to embrace it and go through it, right? When you're trying to get through a loss. So I've definitely learned quite a lot about myself also during this time. I literally, in the beginning, when I found out that she passed, I had literally just took a week off of work. And then that week I got, the next week when I got back to work, that Monday is when she passed. So I, really didn't have time to process all that I was thinking and all what that was happening. I knew that I felt it immediately, that I was just distraught and upset and sad, just losing her and being in the hospital with her while, when she passed. So that was a lot to deal with. And then I took one day off. I had to go get my daughter from college. Me and my husband went to go get our daughter. And then, had the weekend, but it was Easter Sunday. So it was just a lot of things going on in our family and getting people situated. Like in my dad's birthday, we had a lot of family here. A lot of my New York family was here, family from Ohio. So I didn't even have a quiet moment, right? Not, and when I did have quiet moments, I was just a mess, in tears. And then that next Monday I went back to work. And a mentor of mine, while I was at work, checked in with me just to see how I was doing. And I was talking to her about, just so much going on with work. And then, my grandmother passing away. It was just a lot going on. And she looked at me and said, "You need to take more time off. Like, I'm looking at you and your eyes are welling up with tears," because they were. "And you can barely even talk to me because you need time off. You need time to grieve. You need time to, cry all night if you need to cry all night. Think about your grandmother, do something in her honor. You need to process all of that." And I was resistant to that. I'm going to be honest. I was looking at her like, I have all of these deadlines at work. There's just they're back to back to back to back. And there's nothing in my mind that was there's no way I could take off of work. And then when she said it and I thought about it, I just cried and I asked God, I said, "Lord, I need you to help me because I absolutely need those time off." And in the midst of everything, all my deadlines, all these things are due, I was just I absolutely need the time. I need time to grieve. I need time to just be. I put the time in, taking, Thursday, Friday, and the following Monday, I'm going to take off. And, it was just hard to do that, right? Just knowing all of these things. But then I was trying to figure out a way to make it so that I could be off, right? Just trying to I put things in priority, right? Priority number one, things that I needed to make sure I take care of before I'm off. Getting my deals caught up, getting all of that stuff prepared for when I come back. Anything that I could delegate, let me see if I can delegate. Things that I could move off my calendar and push it out. I was trying to push it out. And it was almost like nothing was working. Not a thing. There was one deal in particular that I was working on, and I couldn't move a thing. I couldn't move, because I have things scheduled with all these different, executives and all this other kind of stuff. And it was just their calendars are crazy. So long story short, I guess it was Thursday night. No, it might've been Friday morning. Friday morning, I woke up and I was reading Friday morning. I was reading my devotionals and I just sat there and cried and just was like, "Lord, I need to take the time off. And I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm praying and hoping." I don't even remember really what I said. I was just thinking about, I need the time off. I need it. And I need to figure out a way to get this stuff off my calendar so I can be off and be at peace and not have to worry about work while I'm off. Because I'm not going to pick up a phone or a laptop or anything while I'm off. I'm just going to be off and reminisce about my grandmother. And God made it so that one of the deals that I'm on, The deadlines got pushed out to the end of the month, which would be June. And that's what I needed. That's what I prayed for. It's like, have you ever had that feeling like God just did something specifically for you? Like, that's exactly how it made me feel. Like, I was praying and God just answered my specific prayer, my specific thought and feeling. Like, I really just felt like he just literally was just saw me, heard me, and answered. That's how I felt. There was another scripture too that made me think of all of those feelings, and it's in Lamentations 3:21 and 22. This I recall to my mind, therefore have I hope. It is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. And I felt all of his compassions for me that day when I woke up on Friday, and all that I was worried about just off the calendar. So God is very, very good all the time. So I'm going to reflect and take that time to just grieve and be okay with the grief. Acknowledge who she was, because she was a beautiful human being and she just poured so much into my life. And I'm going to reflect on that and hold on to just hope that God is going to get me through this difficult time with all these emotions that I'm feeling. So there's a couple of things I was going to say to what's helping me hold on right now. Is definitely, reading my word, finding those scriptures. And really what I was doing too was finding scriptures that my grandmother shared with me when I was still kind of learning, like different places in the Bible to go to when I'm going through certain things, and just learning the word for myself. So I've been doing that and reflecting on some of those things, like those scriptures and things that she gave to me, important to me. That's a part of what she sold into me. And the other thing that's helping me hold on to is just being honest with how I feel. I'm upset with certain things about myself, like towards the end there, I didn't see her as much as I wanted to, if I'm being completely honest. And it really was so hard she had dementia, and it was hard seeing her not as the strong woman that I grew up knowing. 4 decades of knowing someone and then seeing the essence of, who they were, the strong and the strength in them, and just kind of wither away. It was very difficult for me to see that. So it was hard, but I have to be honest with where I was. And I know her. I know that she loved me, and I know that she knew me. I have some regrets, and that's all part of me being honest. I have regrets that I didn't spend more time with her towards the end there, and I think the last time I saw her was maybe about a month before she passed, other than being in the hospital when she passed, right? So that was hard. And sometimes you also have to let other people be your strength when your strength is not where you want it to be, or if it's not as strong as you would like it to be. Sometimes you have to let other people be your strength. And I definitely have been trying, and I could probably do better, of letting my husband be my strength. He also has dealt with losing his grandmother, who he was also very close with, and understands all that I'm going through. So that is a comfort to me. He's been very comforting to me. And that's hard for me sometimes to lean on him like that, because I don't always like to share all that I'm feeling with when I'm upset and when I'm sad, and it's hard. So sometimes you have to let other people be your strength when you're feeling weak. And sometimes I don't like to feel weak. And then the other thing I would say is thinking about small things that made that person, especially when you're thinking about loss. And I know that, because I'm specifically talking about losing someone that was very close to you, a family member or somebody very special, and looking at and thinking about reflecting on the small things that made that person special to you, right? That made them stand out for you, right? And the things I think about, like thinking about my grandmother, like I told my husband today, I thought about all the different meals and things that she would cook for her family. And when she did, she'd be like, I'd go in there in her kitchen when she was cooking, and it'd be like a regular day, like a Tuesday, Wednesday. And she's like cooking pork chops and mashed potatoes and cabbage and black eyed peas and all this other kind of stuff, cornbread. And I'll be like, Nana, what are you cooking for? She was like, oh, baby, I just got hungry. And that's what I told my husband. So I was like, I'm going to be like my Nana today. And I got hungry and I cooked up a little something. I made some cabbage and some black eyed peas and rice, and I didn't cook the meat. We got some rotisserie chicken from Sam's Club, but I made the sides today. But I was just thinking, like, just different meals that I want to cook for my family, and that's what I'm going to do in her honor while I'm grieving, is remembering those precious moments. And she always was there for her family. She always did things for others. Like, she was just very compassionate and just always giving of herself to other people in need. She made everybody feel like they were the only person in the room. I'm going to remember those things. So, I'm going to wrap this up too before I do get too emotional. But basically, I would say just my final thoughts on that is, if you need help dealing with a loss or unexpected things in life, just kind of, threw a wrench in your world, right? It's just knowing that you can trust in God, and He will direct your path. He will hold on to you when you can't hold on to yourself. And, especially when you're grieving and you're struggling, trying to find hope, God is just still here. He's always here. He's, will never leave us nor forsake us. So, even in the midst of pain, He's there. He's there with us always. And I'm speaking from experience because I tried Him and I know that He's real. He is real in my life. And, God fills us with joy and with peace. And that was another scripture I just thought about here too, is Romans 15:13. Now the good of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing. So trust God, believe in Him. If you're grieving, give in to the grief. Don't let it consume you, but don't try to hold it back. If you're sad, embrace that, but try to find the joy in the midst of all of that pain. I would say that is definitely something that keeps me going and keeps my faith strong, is finding joy in the midst of pain. So if there's anything, if this encouraged you, I hope that it did, please leave a comment. Let me know how you're holding on right now. How are you holding on to your hope right now? And share it with someone. Share it with somebody that needs it. And, tell me what you think about just having these trust talks. I feel like it's like I said in my other videos too, this is a release for me. And I hope that it's encouraging to you. So until next time, hope is still alive. So keep yourselves encouraged and stay tuned for more, because more is coming. Have a good day.